Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Early Friday morning, another commitment for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss as former Arkansas offensive lineman Patrick Kutas committing to Ole Miss out of the transfer portal. And look, for the Ole Miss fans who've been rocking with the fellas the last couple of days, we've talked about this kid. I love it. I think he's one of the most misunderstood offensive linemen that we see in the transfer portal. I think a lot of people remember Patrick Kutas in 2023 really struggling at the tackle position. One, he was banged up in 2023. Two, he is just simply playing out of position. I mean, this is a guy that you want to play on the inside of the offensive line, not a tackle. You fast forward to 2024, misses most of the season with an injury, comes back healthy for the last couple of games, plays on the inside of the offensive line. A healthy Pat Kutas playing at the right position, in my opinion, is a very he's a high quality starter in the SEC. And one thing that you really like is there's not much speculation on if he can play in the SEC. I think one of the hardest parts about recruiting the offensive line position in the transfer portal for SEC programs, hey, you might have been good in the Mountain West. You might have been good in the Big 12. Playing along the line of scrimmage in the SEC is a little bit different. And it's hard to kind of make that projection with Pat Kutas. You don't got to make that projection because you've seen this kid play in the SEC and you know he can. It's hard to find starting caliber offensive linemen in the transfer portal. Ole Miss right here goes on and gets one. And I think one of the things that's my biggest talking point is, look, Ole Miss, I think they figured out how to use this transfer portal. Not only how to use it to build a roster, but the strategy with it too. It's early and often. I mean, they want to get kids on campus early, get those offers out, and get them committed. It's a little bit different from how you want it to look on the high school recruiting trail where you might want the last visit. I think in the transfer portal, these kids have already they've already gone through the recruitment process, going to all the visits, meeting coaches, kind of getting the red carpet rolled out. When these kids enter the transfer portal, it's much more of a business decision. They want to wrap this thing up and know where they're playing their football next fall. And I think Ole Miss recognizes that. Say, hey, we're going to get you on campus early, start getting these relationships, and start locking in these commitments. You saw them do it last year. You're seeing them do it this year. To me, it's a strategy that's been really working for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. And I think lastly, where did Ole Miss probably fall short in 2024? Probably on the offensive line. And again, I think Lane Kiffin has done a really good job using the transfer portal where he needed to. And you make no mistake about it. This was an Ole Miss team in 2024 that underperformed, and that's frustrating. You make no mistake about it. They gave themselves a chance to make the college football playoffs and win a national championship. The roster that Ole Miss had was a national championship roster. You're looking at Lane Kiffin building another national championship caliber roster in 2025. Does it mean they're going to win it? No. But you're seeing Ole Miss put themselves in positions to really have some success in the fall every single year. And I think Pat Kutas certainly helps that. I want to get into a little bit of what Pat Kutas brings to the table. Before we do, as always, to the Ole Miss fans, I can't thank you guys enough. A lot of y'all been rocking with the fellas going back 12 months ago. As we talked about this team building in the transfer portal last year. Appreciate you guys. It's going to be a busy next couple of weeks. The support means the world. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into Pat Kutas. And again, this kid healthy as a guard is really good. You go back to the last 4 games that he started for Arkansas in 2024, 137 pass pro opportunities, 4 quarterback hurries, 0 sacks, moves people in the run game. That's one of the things that I think Ole Miss struggled with is running the football. Pass protection was not great. I think the biggest problem was Ole Miss struggled to consistently find success running the football. Pat Kutas, he's a guy that I think can help you do that and also give you just a reliable pass protection guy on the inside, a guy that's played a lot of football in the SEC. This one, again, it's not the flashiest pickup. This is a plug-and-play starter on the offensive line in the SEC that it's very hard to find. Now, that's not the extent of what Ole Miss has done, right? We talked about the Sean Womack yesterday. You look at PJ Wilkins, this kid's intriguing. I don't think he's a plug-and-play guy in the SEC quite yet. He's kind of young. He's going into his redshirt sophomore year. You see on the screen, like 6'7", 340. I think Lane Kiffin's looking at him saying, hey, I think you're trending in the right direction with PJ Wilkins. right? Started the last 2 games for Charlotte on the inside of the offensive line last year as a redshirt freshman. I think was one of those guys that I think we knew was going to be a project coming out of high school. Goes to Charlotte. He's a really big body that kind of has to get that body right. And he's 6'7", 340. You can't teach that size. Again, one of the things I think Ole Miss is going to try to do better job of in 2025, moving bodies off the line of scrimmage, consistently running the football. PJ Wilkins can be a guy that might help you do that. Now, do I think PJ Wilkins is a bona fide starter in the SEC in 2025 like Pat Kutas? Probably not, but he's a guy you probably want to bet on. And even if he doesn't start this year, he's going to be a redshirt junior in 2026. This is one of those guys you can build your offensive line up with. A couple other names I would be keeping an eye on. One, Ahmad Hardy. Again, we talked about him yesterday. I love this kid, and I think Ole Miss is looking for that true running back one. We talked about it yesterday. It felt like they had a lot of running backs that could do certain things, but didn't have a running back that could do it all. Ahmad Hardy's that guy. 5'10", 210 pounds, runs the ball hard between the tackles, can give you some burst and explosive ability when he gets to the second level. I don't think the running back position was all that great for Ole Miss, and quite frankly, I don't think it was managed all that well too. Like, I think they had some running. To me, last year, and we talked about this yesterday, so I'll keep it short. It was you had so many running backs, and you kind of just felt like they were going to go with the committee approach, and they just didn't. Like, I don't know why they went to the portal and got all those running backs when they didn't plan on using them. A little bit frustrating. Ahmad Hardy kind of, to me, simplifies the decision. Like, this is a guy that you just play for, and you kind of ride throughout 2025. Would love to see Ole Miss get this one done. And it sounds like they're looking for a bona fide on running back one. The way Sean Parker from Washington State also probably going to take a visit to Ole Miss. They're looking for a guy that they can rely on throughout 2025. Jalen Braxton, another Arkansas kid, really like him. Kind of reminds me of Trey Amos, where it's like the sample size is small, was really good as a true freshman, dealt with injuries in 2024. The sample size that we have, although maybe small, is really good. And that was kind of like how we talked about with Trey Amos last year, where he wasn't a starter for Alabama, but played a decent amount of football. And we said, hey, when he plays, he's pretty damn good. For me, Jalen Braxton, yeah, we haven't seen him play a ton, but when you see him play, it's good. I would love to see Ole Miss take a stab at Jalen Braxton. Then the last one, Eric Singleton Jr. I don't really got to sell anybody on Eric Singleton. I think Ole Miss is looking for that true wide receiver one in the 2025 offense. You can sell, hey, look what happened to Trey Harris. If you are the centerpiece in this offense, you're going to get a lot of opportunities. You're going to put up a lot of numbers, and you're going to help your draft stock. It's probably what you're selling a guy like Eric Singleton, and it's attractive offense to come play for, especially because there's not that proven wide receiver room right now. They got some young talent that they like, but if you're Eric Singleton, you can come in and get a lot of opportunity and a lot of work early for Ole Miss. We'll see where they go. They're being very aggressive early. I'm sure we'll have plenty of commitments to break down over the next couple of days. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.